Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and this is some reviews from July 14th, 2021. The next 5 books in my stack, and I'll have the last of them, tomorrow morning, hopefully. I still have to read. I've read 2 of them already. I still have to read the next 3. So first up from DC, this is Infinity Frontier, number 2 of 6. I read this one first like 3 days ago, so I'm a little bit fuzzy, so let's walk through it. Basically, it's like Cameron, and I don't know who Cameron is. I know who she works for, Mr. Bones, but I'm not aware of who she is, or I'm drawing a blank. But she's on Earth Zero, talking with Superman, and basically investigating him, and that, Superman and Bats and everybody, they're trying to figure out, why she's lurking around. They know who she's working for. And basically, she's trying to, learn some stuff about Captain Atom, because supposedly the last we had heard from Captain Atom, he was dead. With everything that happened with Dark Knight's death metal, people came back that were supposedly dead. Some people kind of scathed. Somehow we found Thomas Wayne, and he was able to scathe from the Batman Who Laughs, the whole Dark Knight metal thing, and they're trying to piece together how he made it out of there. He is with, and I think it is President Superman. I always forget his name. He's here basically, and they take him back to the ship where they found him. As soon as they get there, President Superman gets blasted, and it is by Magog. I hope I said his name wrong, right, but Magog right here. And he's supposed to be reformed, and he's kind of making sure that Magog is still good or whatever, because of the whole multiverse and everything. We go back to Earth Zero, and we have Mr. Terrific, and I think it's like it is, what is this guy's name? Obsidian Black, and then Alan Scott, and I can't remember. I think it's Vandal, but I can't remember if it's Vandal Savage. But they're sitting here talking about what they need to do about people that have been like disappeared and stuff like that. And I think it is Vandal Savage. It's always like weird on the art, but he says something about Alan Scott's son, Obsidian, and basically because Obsidian wants to find one of his friends or something like that that's gone, and it pisses Alan Scott off what he says about his son, so he basically trashes him. You can see the big old like hammer right here, but they leave off, and the last thing they show us is that Black Lantern right here in the bottom left corner. And of course, next up we see Roy Harper, Arsenal, Speedy. I don't know how many names this guy has, but he was one of the people that was dead and now has been resurrected since the whole convergence of the multiverse, omniverse thing that happened with Infinity Frontier. So he has been resurrected with the Black Lantern ring. He doesn't understand why or how come. He does start to using it and trying to figure it out right off the bat. He does go back to trying to remember like conversations with Green Lantern while he was under Green Arrow, and it allows him to take massive control of the ring. He sees some stuff that's coming in the near future, mainly Darkseid. He's already been hinted at once. Basically, he takes off. Then we catch up with Cameron again. She's still under the investigation with Captain Atom here, and we do learn in this whole conversation that it is a Captain Atom from a different multiverse, and he has landed on this Earth Zero. And he just said he escaped, blah blah blah. He kind of gives a very vague reason why he escaped and why he wants to escape. She wants to know why, wants him gone, trying to fix the multiverse, and he just says, man, I gotta get out of here, Darkseid, basically he says Darkseid is, and then this dude like explodes to get the heck out of there. It does say in the next issue we're going to be following a lot of Alan Scott and Obsidian Black kicking butt So it looks like that's where the issue is going up next. Next up from Marvel, we have I've heard it was a one-shot. I'm not quite sure, and I'll get into that. This is the variant of Aliens Aftermath, and boy, was this a great read. I don't know what it is, but Fox, Disney, and Marvel, that merger, man, for Aliens, it has been everything, but yeah, I mean, it's been super good. The first 4 issues of that Alien series so far has been outstanding. The art, the story. This book is basically like a direct sequel to the second Alien movie, Aliens. It's most people's favorite movie. So we're basically catching up with, and this seems to be the nephew of Vasquez from Aliens, and he's this like kind of like YouTuber, podcaster type, you know, I mean it's in the future, but we're catching up with this guy, and he's got this whole like, you know, space, I don't know, TV show or something like that, and he's broadcasting for this ultra like Sunlight Corporation or something like that, and he's against the Weyland Yutani Corporation. As you can see here, they're doing like some angsty pranks, and they end up blowing up like one of their space stations. They kind of go into that basically they express that he is like the nephew, that he was a part of like, you know, like the beginning of Haley's Hope or something like that, and somehow his transport got, you know, projected a different way. His parents and his aunt or something like that were in some cryo, you know, sleeping tubes just like he was, and they all got turned off, and somehow he made it out unscathed. So he basically woke up familyless. His aunt was, you know, Vasquez in the movie. One of my favorite characters in Aliens. She was such a badass. But he's just basically trying to figure out, like, you know, what happened to his aunt on Haley's Hope. You know, basically the Weyland Yutani Corporation had that whole thing scrubbed, all video feed information, so it never happened. So they fly out to LV 426 and, you know, the moon where Haley's Hope was. They get here, and it's basically like a cloud planet. If you remember the end of the movie, Ripley did set off a 20 megaton nuclear, you know, blast that went off, and of course we are seeing the effects. I think this takes place like literally 100 years after that. So basically, I mean, Haley's Hope right here, you know, it's going through a nuclear winter. They get here and they need to repair the ships from his little thing when he blew up his little, like, you know, doing his little triple X extreme stuff. And so they got a guy, and he's like repairing the ship. 3 of them go down to explore when they're in here, and sure enough, right off the bat, you know, the guy who's repairing the ship runs into our first encounter with the xenomorph, and it is a brand new xenomorph. You can see him right here. He's also on the cover, but he's like this neon color, and they don't explain why or whatever. I'm just figuring it's because of the nuclear, like what happened. I will say that it's not just his, like, he's not just glowing or whatever. He does have other attributes, which I'll get into in a second, because they were phenomenal. It's just really great reading. The art, the pacing of the story, everything was really good. I can say the ending was really good, because basically they find out that there was a specimen that was supposed to be, you know, captured a long time ago, buried below Haley's Hope. This corporation found out somehow that Weyland Yutani was hiding this, and this guy is on this secret mission, you know, saying he's trying to find out about his aunt, which is a part of the mission, but at the same time he's being paid buku bucks to go down there and get this specimen F from the bottom of Haley's Hope. While they're doing it, of course, our friend the Xenomorph shows up, neon glowing Xenomorph. And right off the bat, we do see one of his new powers right here, and his blood is not acid anymore. He has evolved somehow, some way, part of the nuclear winter, I suggest. But now their blood is nitroglycerin. So instantly, this stuff lands on her, and just like we all know what nitroglycerin does, I mean, her hand just, you know, broke off, you know, with the touch. So, you know, basically this thing, you know, she's shooting at it, and it's shooting liquid nitrogen all over her. So, I mean, she ends up dying really quickly. this guy does get down here, and we do see that there is this specimen F over here by my finger. And he kind of explains that, haha, I got the secret thing. Weyland-Yutani has their little, you know, their little back door into his program, and they kind of counter offer saying that they've taken over his ship, you know, that they need the specimen, that they'll pay him whatever he wants. They'll even scrub his criminal record, which is supposedly pretty vast. And basically tell him, you know, if you don't get this thing out, I mean, we got your ship and everything. So basically he's like, okay, I'm on board. This guy's like an action junkie, but I don't know, for some reason he decides to try and fight the xenomorph, and the last we see is both of them in this hugging, kissing thrall. But it kind of looks like they both might have passed away. At the very end, we do see the very last guy that was alive, and he's messing with Specimen F, and there's something still in Specimen F, and that's the very end of the story. At the very end, it does say that it says it's not game over yet. Check out Alien 5, Aliens Inside. Now, I don't know if this story is going to continue in Aliens 5. I do know Aliens 5 is coming out this week, but I think this was just a one-shot, and it's supposed to be, but I mean, it might be like parts of this story continue over. Man, this was a great read. Brand new Xenomorph, spec value. I mean, we do have an Alien TV show that's coming out. Bam! Next up from Image Comics, The Silver Coin. This one by Jeff Lemire and Michael Walsh. It's titled 2467 is where this takes place. I like this cover. I will say I'm gonna give this one, like, this is probably like my least favorite Silver Coin. Now, it was a good read. I'm not gonna say it was a bad read. The art in it was amazing. I mean, okay, my problem with this book is it doesn't, I mean, it's not really focused on the silver coin at all. All the other issues have somehow, some way, but let's get into it. Alright, so it's in the future. There's a cop plugging into some drone, and he's patrolling over, like, the protected walls of the city. Sure enough, as he's going on patrol, there's a mugging going on. You can see right here, there's just innocent guy trying to make it back to the city, and 3 bandits catch him. We get to see how they keep their money and stuff, but it's in their eyes, and they use these worms stuff from their eyes to go into other people's accounts. You can see it like right here. I mean, yes, it's a horror book, so I mean, that's why that's there, but hey, they keep money in their eyes. So this girl's, you know, she's jacking into this dude's account, taking his credits. He only had 45 credits. I can't imagine that to be a whole lot in the future, but maybe it is. I mean, you know, that could be, he could be a millionaire. I don't know. But they find out the cops are after him. They of course they take off. They're trying to survive. The cop, you know, keeps telling them, "Hey, you better stop or I'm gonna shoot." He gets authorized with, you know, lethal force, and he takes out like one right off the bat. Another one crashes into the other one. Eventually, it's just a girl left on her own. She ends up running, asking her computer device that's in her head, "Hey, what should I do?" And it ends up telling her to like jump down this ravine. Once she gets down here, it's like this, basically it's kind of like our civilization, because to them it's like ancient civilization, but it looks like our skyscrapers in New York City or something like that, just really old and built over. She gets down here, she finds like a monument, and the statue guy right where my finger is, and in his hand is the silver coin. I got so excited, I was like, yes, there it is, there's the coin, alright, alright, alright. And basically she picks it up, and the thing's kind of Spidey senses her, and it just keeps saying virus detected, and eventually it's like virus granted. And the only thing that it really, I mean, it does show like some shadowy figures that show up here. And basically she takes a stick and she throws it at the drone, and the drone goes down. She's able to hack the drone with her little eye squiggly things, and she does like infect the cop on the other end. I mean, they're connected digital, and I mean, the end of the comic is just right here in the red, you know, her getting her revenge on this guy, and that's it, you know. I mean, and you do see like some weird squiggly shadow figures here, but I mean, that's kind of my complaint, is the coin. I mean, it didn't really do anything. All she did is pick up a stick and throw it. I mean, she could have done that before. The little squiggly things, I mean, yeah, that I could say that was from the coin, but I mean, they didn't do anything. I don't know. Maybe if y'all have some better perspective about this, I mean, it's screaming at her at the end, virus detected, virus detected. I mean, she's like half computer, so I mean, I don't know. The next one does set up a very interesting one, looks like, the Covenant. It looks like it'll be like a Salem's Witch type thing right here. Still was a good read. It's not that it was a bad read, it was a good little short story or whatever, but it just didn't have that silver coin feel for me. Next up, Bunny Mask by Aftershock number 2. And honestly, this is another one I'm going to kind of give like mixed reviews on. The first one was okay. It was, you know, I want to say it was one of those books. It was like, yeah, you know, I was gripped by the end of the first book like most people. I wouldn't say the first one was like super exciting all the way through or anything, but it really did kind of leave you guessing at the end. So this one starts out and we're following the same character from the first book, and of course it's aged. We saw that from the first book. He's a doctor, he's checking in with this girl Effie. Yeah, I mean, right off the bat you kind of notice that there's a Bunny Mask statue, you know, in the background, and they kind of like pinpoint to it and they're like, hey, where'd you get that statue? And I mean, he knows what it is. He's like, oh, Bunny Mask. And she's like, yeah, where'd you get that? And he's like, I don't even remember it. I don't even remember having it in this office, you know. And she's like, oh, your nurse must have. And he's like, my nurse is off, you know. He starts remembering, like you can see right here, he starts remembering events from that cave from the first book. There's a scene, I will say this is another one of those moments in comics where I don't get it. This whole scene right here, it's like the next page, but it just shows these kids playing on the playground, and then we kind of go over to these criminals over here, and it's like these two guys, and this guy's telling the story about like how his wife screwed him over or something like that, and now he's going to kidnap his daughter because he was screwed out of like rights with his daughter. I mean, all I got from it was just two bad guys, because the next thing I mean, while you can kind of see right here, they're still in that same apartment or wherever they were, but all of a sudden, like magically, it brings them to that cave where Bunny Mask is, and of course, Bunny Mask does her cool thing. I will say I love the whole Bunny Mask part. It goes back to this guy, and he's talking to him and his friend Raleigh, and they're talking about B, and B is the Bunny Mask girl that was, I don't know, it's weird because Bunny Mask is like a separate entity, and we're still learning that. So, I mean, he's kind of like talking with his friend, and she's like, yeah, I've been talking for years, y'all might as well date. And they kind of show here that eventually they start doing that because they go like Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, and they're just hanging out every day. I think there's one day that they don't, and his friend ends up, but you know, as these days goes on, he starts hearing all these voices, which are right here with my fingers, and it's all these like thought bubbles, and at first it's like regular thoughts that he's hearing, so he's not quite making the correlation, but eventually it's like the Bunny Mask is talking to him, saying his name and weird stuff, and he's like, what the, you know, and eventually he does kind of like, he kind of starts daydreaming while he's walking around, and this is, you know, he's talking to the father of B, and he was killed in that first issue in the cave, and sure enough, I mean, as he's doing this, he's waking back up in the cave, and he kind of wakes up of it and finds himself in an Uber, and Uber's back home. We do find out that this girl from the very beginning of the book, Effie, and Rolly, his other friend, are dating somehow, and they knew each other, which is kind of weird to him and weird to us. But, you know, nevertheless, it's kind of cool. Two friends are hooking up, you know. So he goes on, he's like, man, I'm getting tired, you know, and they mention something about like, oh, it's kind of weird, we thought you were already here. And he's like, what you mean? And they're like, we heard giggling coming in from the bedroom. And so he goes in the bedroom, and he just assumes that he must have left the TV on or something like that. And as he goes in there, he sees a Bunny Mask, you know, a painting that's on the wall. He thinks he's just tired or whatever, so he does go to sleep. As he goes to sleep, it's like nothing but like, you know, Bunny Mask talking to him. I mean, at one point the picture on the back turns into two pictures, and sure enough, Miss Bunny Mask, and that's just what we're gonna call her. I think that's what she calls herself, is Bunny Mask. But I mean, she talks in like little riddles. I do like all her conversations. all the parts with this bunny mask entity are really good. It's kind of the other parts that are really confusing. Not really confusing, we just don't have the whole story, but it's still the lesser part of the story, I would say. But basically, she does show up, and he's still thinking he's dreaming, and she's like, "You're not dreaming, but hey, guess what? You better knock out of it because some guys are coming to get you and kill you. And if you wanted to, and all you'd have to do is say my name, or something like that, and I'd kill him for you." And he kind of takes too long, and she gets bored, and then she goes to sleep, and guess what? Them guys are breaking in, and that's the next issue is we're going to have to see if he's going to have to deal with them. Is he going to have to pray to some bunny masks to get some help? We don't know. Another note I would like to say is like the art. It's okay. It's like one of those things where it's kind of like this pastel kind of coloring to it. I love when they do the bunny mask parts. They're really good. It's just a different style of art. It's great art. It's a very different style of art. Haha, now last up by Marvel. This is Sinster War #1. And I'm going to give it like a B, guys. It's not what I was hoping for. I'm a big Sinister 6 fan. I love Spidey's villains. First off, I'm going to give it it starts off with really classy art. We got Mephisto and Doctor Strange, and they're talking about something that makes no sense to me because I'm so lost. They do try and catch you up right here, which it really doesn't. I'm still lost. But basically, Mary Jane is for 30 years, I guess, is still trying to become a movie actress. That was like back in the 90s during the Carnage run, I think, and the Venom when she was trying to become an actor. Yeah, I'm so lost on Spider-Man. Anyways, they're on the red carpet. She is about to be a main role finally in Hollywood, and she's being picked up by this director, Mr. Knight. And we do get these scenes where Peter is kind of talking about how he's a photographer, but it's weird to be on the red carpet type thing. I will say this book, these first 3 pages, once we get Peter, look at Mary Jane's face, man. You talk about, I don't want to say there's a such thing as bad art, but man, this was just ugh. And it doesn't stop, and I want to say specifically right here where my finger is, if you can see her face, it's just the proportion of her eyes and the nose, and yeah, she's turned like that, but come on, we got mirrors, man. It's I want to say these first 2 pages, I don't know why, maybe they were just in a rush and they had to get them done. I will say the rest of the book, for some reason, is really good. Once they start doing all the villains and it's like this guy has a problem drawing people. But people in costumes, it's fire because, look at the difference. Once he starts drawing the supervillains and Spider-Man, and the whole rest of the book was, maybe it's a different artist, I'm not sure. So enough of that. And art-wise, I want to say it was like a B+. It's just in a couple pages. I don't know why, and it does go back every time you see the people. But as the book goes, the art gets a lot better, and I'll even highlight one page that I really like specifically art-wise. Basically, they're at the movie premiere. This movie that Mary Jane has got picked up for, and we know in the background that it's Mysterio, that it's a director, and Mary Jane knows that it's Mysterio. Supposedly he's reformed. I think we know that's not true because they showed us in Amazing Spider-Man 70 or whatever, or the latest issue that he was kind of working with Kindred. So anyways, the Savage Six shows up, and they want revenge on everybody, on Spider-Man, Mary Jane, Mysterio. Vulture's after Mysterio, basically, and he's, everybody else is just collateral damage, and whoop whoop. But, basically it's them showing up and trying to take out, Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Peter Parker gets his ass beat, and for good reason. There's a lot of good villains here that show up just in this scene alone. We do get the reveal of Mysterio and Peter Parker is, wow, and why didn't you tell me? And it's during this whole fight, and not just with the Savage Six, because the Sinister Six shows up as well. And Peter's still trying to talk to Mary Jane, figure out what's going on, and Mary Jane's like, what are you doing? Why are you talking to me? Go beat some supervillain. And eventually he does. He starts to try to, but Peter Parker has struggled with one or two of these villains. I mean, it's like 12 already, and basically they're all going after Peter. I think the only one that's messing with Mysterio and Octopus is Vulture, Octopus, and Mysterio, kind of like in this triangle. But everybody else is after Peter, so it's kind of yeah. So they basically like knock him out. And he wakes up, and as he wakes up, guess who? Kindred's there. Now, I wish somebody would explain Kindred, because I have no idea what's going on with him. Are those pets? Are they coming out of him? Do they follow him around? Are they inside him? Is that Harry Osborn? Are we supposed to know it's Harry Osborn? Because he meant, I mean, Spider-Man just says Harry, like he knew it was him. And right here, we're in Osborn's like castle or whatever, because on the wall, all the pictures, Osborn stuff. But basically, he, as he shows them these pictures and moments of the different Osborn stuff, yeah, basically he shows them that's just not everybody involved. He's bringing everybody, and that's basically it. I mean, at the very end, we do get this back to Doctor Strange and Mephisto offers Doctor Strange to take a chance at learning the truth about Mary Jane and Peter Parker. I'm hoping that story gets a lot better, because I've always liked the Sinister Six, and not just the one version we've known. There's different versions of Sinister Six. So that's kind of why I was excited to hop back on Spider-Man. But so far I'm in for the long haul. I'm not going to say I'm going to stop it because that one book. Nope, I'm going to keep going. But that was my review. Everybody out there, I hope you all have a great day. Like, comment, share. Please comment, subscribe if you already haven't. I have another review coming tomorrow. I'm going to do, I haven't decided whether I'm going to do a 4 or 2-part, but I have another one coming for Plastic. Plastic has been amazing so far, hint hint. But y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all soon. Evil out!